Hello and welcome to episode number 280. This is the Project Management Podcast at pm-podcast.com and I'm Cornelius Fichtner. Welcome back. This episode is all about getting the most out of a project management conference, and we have a checklist for you as well. The idea for this episode and the checklist came to me a few days ago when I signed up for one of PMI's global congresses. I invested about $2,500 in my 3-day attendance at the Congress. That's the Congress fee, the plane ticket, the hotel. So I decided, you know what, with so much money at stake here, $2,500 is quite a bit of chunk money, I want to make this a success. And so I decided to develop this checklist for you and for me because we project managers attend many conferences. And I remember quite clearly how disappointed I was after some of these conferences because I realized I didn't get as much out of them as I had hoped. So I decided instead of continuing to hope for more success, I would have to plan for it. This checklist contains my personal best practices for conference success, and I really hope that it allows you to plan for a successful conference as well. And of course, this checklist is available for download on the PM Podcast website. Just go to pm-podcast.com, episode number 280, and you'll see a link to download it. For the rest of this episode, we are now going to go through this checklist together. It has 3 sections: before the conference, during the conference, and after the conference. Or, because we're all project managers here, it's nothing but the plan, do, check, act cycle. And of course, the first section of the checklist, before the conference, that corresponds to the planning portion of the plan, do, check, act cycle. And frankly, if you want to stop right now and just download the checklist and work on it offline, I am not going to be angry at all because the checklist is quite self-explanatory. But continuing to view this video, to listen to this episode here, will probably help you because I'm going to give you a lot of background information and insights and ideas. All right then, let's get started with planning our conference attendance. It will come as no surprise to you that the first thing we're going to have to do is we are going to have to define goals. Why are we planning on attending this conference? So describe what you hope to gain or learn at the conference, and do stay realistic and plan to be able to achieve only 1 or 2 goals maximum. If you set yourself 7, 8, 9, 10 goals, then suddenly everything becomes important, and when everything is important, nothing is really important anymore. As an example here, personally, whenever I attend a conference, I want to bring value to the listeners of the Project Management Podcast. And I often achieve this in various ways by recording episodes, by recording interviews right there live on site, or just bringing home new ideas, business cards of guests I can invite in the future, or episodes that I record on my own. Now that we know what our goals are for attending the conference, let's define some metrics. Without metrics, we can't measure whether we've been successful. It could be the number of presentations that you've attended, the PDUs that you have earned, or new ideas that you've generated, the number of people or vendors that you have met. Maybe you'll go there to meet some clients. So how many client meetings did you have? Or even simpler, how many business cards did you pick up or hand out? Personally, of course, for me, often the number of Project Management Podcast interviews that I was able to record during a conference is a great measure. Most conferences that I attend, they are out of town, so let's not forget that we want to book our trip. We have to book a flight, we have to book a hotel, and we also have to register for the conference itself. And of course, here we have to book early, because oftentimes when you book early, it's less expensive. The conference that I just booked for gave me a $200 early bird discount, so it's been actually quite an incentive to book early for me. As you are booking your flight and your hotel, why not consider extending your stay for a day or two? Maybe you have family or friends in the town that you're traveling to, and you might want to catch up with them as well. Or if not, well, how many times are you going to go back to that particular town? So go do some sightseeing. Many people also decide to arrive a day early so they can stop by at the event venue and take a look around and scope it out. I, for myself, for the PMI Global Congress, actually I'm not doing this because it happens to be in Phoenix. I've seen Phoenix before. I've done a lot of sightseeing there. So I'm just going to return home in the evening when the Global Congress ends. As part of planning for a successful conference attendance, let's also plan for an open mind. Remind yourself to be open to learning new ways of doing things. Set your sights on finding ways to improve yourself and your organization and your projects, and be willing to listen to ideas and go to presentations that challenge the status quo of how things are done today. Planning for success also means that we want to minimize distractions. Don't be like this lady here during the conference, constantly having to check the clock, your phone, and your email. So do ask your colleagues not to disturb you during the conference, and set up out-of-office messages for email and phone. Next, you want to plan on which of the presentations at the conference you are going to attend. So, review the conference schedule and select the presentations you're going to attend. Read the speaker's bio and also try and connect with the speaker in LinkedIn. Then write down the number one question that you want to ask the speaker during the presentation. You should also always select an alternative presentation during the same time slot. This alternative presentation, you can use that if you find that your first choice isn't really meeting your expectations. You just get up and leave and walk over to your alternative presentation room. You also want to know which presentations sound interesting, but you're not going to attend due to lack of time, simply. So download the presentation slides. Sometimes they're available before the conference even starts, or maybe white papers. Have them with you as you travel to the conference so you can read up on the presentations you're not going to see. But probably the number one thing you want to do when attending a conference is to network. So let's plan to network here. Check the list of conference attendees for people whom you know and send them a message. Schedule breakfast, lunch, dinner, or just a casual get-together. You also want to announce your attendance on social media, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and so on, and ask if anyone else is going as well. Check the list of attendees for people you do not know but you would like to meet, and also check maybe they are giving a presentation that you might want to see, and that's a good opportunity for you to walk up to them and introduce yourself. I am a bit of an introvert when it comes to meeting new people, so what I do is I always prepare some icebreaker questions, simple questions that I can ask people when I see them, when I meet them. For example, why are you attending? Or, hey, isn't it funny how everyone is really buried in their phones instead of talking to each other here and networking? Or simply, who do you work for? Most often people will be wearing their name badges so you can see the company name on the name badge, and you can say, so what does company X do? What do you do for them? In addition to having icebreaker questions, you should also get a 10-second elevator speech ready. Don't make this a 1-minute or 2-minute introduction of yourself. Make it quick and snappy, because there are so many people that you want to meet and who might want to meet you, so it has to be fast and quick. Here is mine. I'm a professional PMP trainer, and I also have a free podcast where I've interviewed over 250 guests on every project management topic that you can possibly imagine. This is short and it's to the point, and it's also a little bit intriguing because I'm kind of challenging them by saying on every project management topic that you can possibly imagine. Most often what happens then is people will go, really? Well, do you have anybody on your program that talks about portfolio management in the shipping industry? I'll go scratch my head and go, you know what? No, I actually don't have anybody about this topic. Would you be interested in coming on the program and talking about this? Or do you know anybody who would like to do this for our program? And that is, of course, then the moment when I hand them my business card. And that's the next item on the checklist, of course. You want to bring enough current business cards. So make sure that they are not the old ones from 3 years ago, but they contain your current contact information. Now, this one here is kind of individual preference, but if you want to really stand out, bring some thank you notes that you can send to people in an envelope, and on the envelope already put a stamp on it and put your return address onto the envelope, and bring the blank thank you notes with them. Just have them in your luggage and have them in your room, in your hotel room, and we'll see later on what we're going to do with them. At pretty much every project management conference that I have attended, there are going to be vendor booths, there are going to be exhibitor booths. So do plan to meet these vendors and exhibitors. Review the list of them. See who is there, and maybe that'll trigger an idea. Oh yeah, we've wanted to implement this new kind of software. Or, hey, we do have their software and we do have a question or a problem, so I might as well stop by. Define which ones you are going to see, and of course do write down the questions that you have for each of your vendors. Are you PMP certified? Yes, then maybe you are attending the conference because you want to earn PDUs, professional development units. So make sure that you know which of the presentations that you are attending will earn you PDUs and how the submission process of these PDUs to PMI is going to be handled. There are really only two options. You either have to submit these PDUs yourself, or the organizer is going to do it for you. Which is it? Well, you're going to have to figure that out. And that was section 1 of our checklist before the conference, or all the things that we have to plan. We're now moving on to the during the conference section of the checklist, which is in fact the do and the check portion of our plan, do, check, act cycle. The registration desk at most conferences that I've attended usually opens around 7 o'clock in the morning, so you want to get there as early as possible to get checked in. All right, they're probably not going to pat you down like you see here on this slide, but there are going to be lines later on. So the sooner you're there, the faster your check-in will happen. And here is an interesting networking technique. While you are at the front desk, offer to volunteer. Ask them, is there anything that you folks need help with? This works best at smaller conferences, maybe from a local PMI chapter. Where I'm going, the PMI Global Congress, they have hundreds of people that take care of things in the back, so offering to volunteer isn't going to do me any good. But at a local PMI chapter, Professional Development Day, oftentimes they are looking for help, and that will get you in the back end. You'll be able to meet people that you might not have met otherwise. A little earlier, we were planning for an open mind during the conference, and now that we are here, let's focus on being in the here and now. So set your phone to silent without vibration, because frankly, you don't need to be buzzed in your pocket every time a new email or text message arrives. It's only going to be distracting you. Also, don't check your phone between activities, between presentations. In fact, look around and see if you find anybody who's also not checking their phone and start up a conversation with them. Don't answer emails during the day or text messages. Wait until the evening when you're back at your hotel room. Focus on being in the here and now. All right. Now the real fun begins, and you will be attending one presentation after the other. One tip that I have for you here is do introduce yourself to the speaker before the presentation, because usually once this presentation is done, there's going to be a long line of people who are going to want to meet the speaker. Oh yes, and don't forget to bring a jacket, because sometimes it's cold in the conference rooms. They keep these rooms intentionally cold to keep you awake, and oftentimes there are lights that heat up the room, so they want to make sure that the room stays cool. That's why they keep it cooler. There's also the question of where are you going to be sitting down? Sit near the front if you want to be more engaged. Sit near the back or the door if you think that you might not be staying the whole time. And do sit in a different spot for each session to change your perspective. Another great networking technique is to ask the speaker if it's okay to have your picture taken with them, just like Alexius did here. He walked up to me and said, "Hey, can we take a picture together? I'm a student of yours," and so he was really excited to meet me. So yes, do get a picture with the speaker and yourself, and of course, don't forget to send that picture to the speaker afterwards and thank them. Next, let's talk about taking notes during presentations. Please don't become a stenographer. You do not have to write down word for word what the speaker is saying. Only write down what you can take action on, like nuggets of wisdom that you want to share, skills you have learned, ideas that have generated in your mind for process improvement, or ways that you can develop yourself, how you can grow. And then comes the time that many people describe as the most valuable time that they have spent at the conference. The time between the presentations, the networking opportunities that you have there. So as the presentation ends, people are getting out and streaming out of the room. Strike up a conversation with the people sitting near you after the presentation. Ask them, how did you like it? Once you're out in the lounge, sit down in the area and begin striking up conversations with people. Also, when you see two people that you know, introduce them to each other. Help them to become successful. And also, do look around and see if you recognize any of the people that you don't know, but you wanted to meet and introduce yourself. And you're going to say, wait a minute, I don't know them. How should I recognize them? Well, you probably don't know me, but you know from pictures that you have seen, maybe on LinkedIn, what I look like, and you might recognize me. In fact, most people actually come up to me and they recognize me because of my voice. So they hear me from a distance, and that's how they do recognize me. So please do walk up to me, do walk up to the other people, because we want to meet you. We want to network with you. Lunchtime is a great time to network. Remember, in the planning section of our checklist, we contacted all our friends who will be attending and we said, hey, let's have breakfast, lunch, or dinner together. So let's do that. Do meet them, do have breakfast, lunch, or dinner with them. But if you don't have anything set up, then make sure that when you get there that you find others who happen to be eating alone. So never sit down at a table that is empty. Always sit down where others are sitting. Do you mind if I join you for lunch? Is always a good conversation starter. They usually say, no, please have a seat. And as you are sitting down, remember the one thing that you have in common now is you're at this conference. So ask them, what presentations have you seen today? What have you learned today? Bring out your icebreakers. One other thing you want to do if you're there with colleagues, never eat with the same person twice. Always try to sit with somebody new. And another idea is sit near the entrance. Find a table near the entrance so you can see who's coming and going and they can also see you. If you happen to bring your whole project team, then let's make sure that you divide and conquer your conference attendance, meaning have your team members attend separate presentations so that you get more exposure to the presenters here. If they happen to be in the same presentation, make sure that you tell them don't sit next to each other, sit next to people you don't know. And also do schedule 1 or 2 15-minute debriefings every day with your team. Just a quick get-together so you can recap important lessons learned and people can describe how we can apply improvement ideas that we've learned today on our project. And you have to ask why. If you hear somebody say, well, this is a great presentation, but it can never work in our environment. One way in which I hope to bring value to all those among you who are unable to attend the conference is by sharing my experience live on social media. So I usually say a bit more than just really enjoying myself here at the conference. I share my experience via Twitter, Facebook and LinkedIn. I use conference hashtags so that it's easier for people to find what I'm saying. And I share nuggets that I pick up during the presentation and keynote speeches, and I talk about the big events that are going on. For example, who has won the PMI Project of the Year award. I also take pictures and of course I share pictures via social media. When you're meeting somebody new during the conference, do go ahead, use your elevator speech when you're introducing yourself. But do focus on how you can help them, how you can add value to their conference. Be respectful. Don't try to sell yourself or your product or service to somebody that you just met. You have to show genuine interest in what they are doing. Your primary focus should be, how can I help you? Your focus should not be on I. Your focus should be on the you. How can I bring success to you, to your conference? And of course, if they ask you, what can I do for you? Then do go ahead and ask them if they happen to know someone that you would like to meet, that's on your list of people you'd like to meet, and if they wouldn't mind introducing you. Another day at the conference is over and we are back in our hotel room, so it's time to do our follow-ups. Take out all the business cards from today and begin connecting to your new friends on LinkedIn. And if you can't find them on LinkedIn, well, do send them a message. Somehow say, it has been nice meeting you today here at the conference. And this is also the moment when you can take out the physical thank you cards that you brought along. When it is appropriate, write a physical thank you card, handwritten note, and do mail them to the people that you have just met. Oh, and by the way, if this is the last evening before you have to check out, go back to the conference website and check if maybe additional presentations of those that you have not attended are now available for you to download so that you have them and you can then review them on the way back. All right, we've planned the conference, we have attended the conference, we did and checked everything off our list that we wanted to do. It is now time to act. We are moving into the after the conference section of our checklist. Your return trip back home begins as you are checking out of the hotel. If you haven't yet done so, drop off all the physical thank you notes that you have written at the front desk. They'll be happy to mail them for you. And then you probably have to take a ride to the airport. Why not share that ride with someone whom you've met, but you haven't really had a chance to talk in depth yet? Set that up beforehand. Then on your flight back home, review the papers and slide decks of the presentations that you haven't yet seen. You know, the ones that you were unable to attend. Also go through your notes again and organize your thoughts and capture new ideas that come up as you are doing this review. And now comes the feel-good part here. Let's review the metrics. Let's see if we have achieved our metrics. And of course, if we can say, yes, we have achieved them, let's ask ourselves, could we have achieved more for next time? And if not, what did we achieve and what did we not achieve and why did we not achieve this? So reviewing the metrics, a feel-good exercise because you can see how much you have actually done, but it can also be lessons learned for next time. We attended the conference to network, so let's make sure that we nurture our relationships, both the old ones that we've had before and the new ones that we have built during the conference. So if you haven't yet done so, send everyone a quick note just via email, LinkedIn, or a physical thank you note and say thank you for having met them. It was nice seeing you, but also do fulfill your promises. Follow up on all the promises that you have made. If you've taken pictures of people, well, send the picture to them. Send them the link that you promised, the article or document that you promised, and do call everybody whom you promised that you would call them after you get back to the office. And then it is time to take action. It's time to convert your ideas into reality. So review all your ideas and begin to implement them. Immediately handle and act on any ideas that only take a few minutes for you personally to complete. Anything that takes longer, go ahead and schedule those ideas in your calendar to act on later on. And if an idea was for somebody else, then do go ahead and talk to them about this idea and assign this idea to them so they can take action on it. Did you happen to attend the conference with your whole project team? Well, then do schedule a 2-hour debriefing to take place within about 2 business days after the conference. Actually, it's a great idea to set this up before you go to the conference so everybody knows that there will be a debriefing. Again, make this an action-oriented meeting intended to find ideas that can be applied. Plan on implementing all ideas within 2 to 4 weeks. Empower your team to implement their ideas. Give them permission to do it. And do schedule follow-up meetings with individual team members to discuss the progress and if they need any support. And then finally, do schedule a conference wrap-up meeting about 4 weeks after the debriefing to close the loop with all the actions that were supposed to be taken. Let's also not forget that if you hold a PMI certification, that now is the moment when you want to either claim or check your PDUs. So go ahead and log in to ccrs.pmi.org and either manually claim all the PDUs that you have earned for attending the session, or check that the event organizer has correctly claimed them for you. Normally, when the event organizer does it, you actually get an email from PMI saying that a new PDU claim has been made in your name and it has been approved. But still a good idea to stop by and check. And finally, and this may come a little bit as a surprise, go ahead and throw away all the notes that you took during the conference. Throw them in the trash. What I have found is that anything that I have noted down and I cannot take action on and I cannot implement, or that isn't in my head, after a certain time I will frankly not remember what this was all about. I recently picked up some old conference notes. I think it was from the PMI Global Congress from 2 or 3 years back, and I read through them and I'm like, I don't really know what I meant by all the things that I wrote down here. But what I did see is that everything that I had taken action on, I had crossed it out. Everything else, I didn't really need it anymore. So go ahead, throw them away, get them out of your life. Instead, turn them into actions. And that's it. The plan, do, check, act cycle is complete. And of course, that also means we are done with reviewing the checklist. Your checklist for getting the most out of a project management conference. To download it, please go to pm-podcast.com, find episode number 280, and click the download link. That's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. As always, you can find us on the web at pm-podcast.com. If you are a project manager and want to become PMI ACP certified, then the easiest way to do so is with our sister podcast, the Agile Prepcast, and study for the exam by watching the in-depth exam video training from agileprepcast.com. Please send your emails to info@pm-podcast.com, and when you write, please do tell me where in the world you are writing from. And finally, we have this. Only a few people actually solve problems on a project. The rest usually creates more problems than they think they solve. Until next time.